Hello, and welcome to Revamped, a rewatch podcast that revisits my top favorite shows and movies. I'm your host, Brandon Alexander, joined by my co-host,
Courtney Autumn.
Venture with us as we set our sights on the infamous Hellmouth to cover 90s cult classic, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Follow along from the beginning, spoiler-free, as Courtney views the show for the first time and I revisit the series for new takes and a fresh perspective on its narrative.
Each season, every episode, in order, we will follow Buffy Summers and her friends to examine their character development, the show's underlying themes, along with its major story arcs, all while engaging in conversations, sharing our own authentic thoughts and feelings to what's unfolding before us.
So sharpen your stakes, load your crossbows, and join us as we explore the supernatural world of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Let's get into the episode. Hello, everyone. We're back. Welcome to Season 3 of Revamped.
Yes. Oh my gosh, Season 3. I meant to tell you, actually, when I went to watch this episode again, I almost started playing Season 2, and I was like, wait, no.
You could go back and watch it. You're like, no, it's still fresh.
No need.
It still cuts so deep. Yeah, we're back. Like I said, did you enjoy our break?
Me?
Yes. Yeah, well, you're the only other one here. I was asking myself.
I didn't know if you were talking to the audience. You know, and you were like, insert friends here.
They didn't enjoy the break. They were like, we need more revamped content. Come back. Sarah's been messaging me. She's like, I missed your voice.
I don't know. I feel weird almost when we take a break because now I feel weird that we're getting like started again. I don't know. Not started again, but you know, now we're not in the rhythm.
I know. That's kind of how I felt. I was starting to type that I felt weird about coming back. And I was like, no, I don't really feel weird, but it feels like you got to get in the groove again just because we've been slacking the last few weeks. Well, 6 weeks or so that we've been on break. We haven't done anything except watch this episode together and all of that. It was a much needed break, very deserved after the journey through season 2 and just to have a hiatus. We got to go on a little vacation together too, which was fun, but just to collect myself. And it kind of sucks too. I was talking to Tony a ways back about breaks in between seasons. I was like, if I don't do any work for the podcast, that if I get into the groove of just really being lazy, I won't want to put out content, not necessarily put the content out, but work for the content. So I'll find myself being like, oh, I can do it tomorrow, and then tomorrow comes, I'm like, oh, I could easily do that on Saturday. And it's all
and then Saturdays and 5
2
minutes
weeks
from
have
now.
passed. Yeah, not fun stuff. But regardless, I feel right before we came in here, I was getting pumped because I was rewriting a couple little things that popped into my head about this episode in season 3 and just really realizing that we were about to get started with it. And I got really excited too. And then all that stuff, like I said, about being weird about coming back to record and after the break and all that, I think I just clicked back in really quick. And I was like, this season's going to be different. I just had this ultimate clarity about it. I was like, this is going to be an interesting show now. It's going to be different because I feel like we are fully revamped now. No pun intended. It's a whole new breath of new energy coming in, and it's our last year at Sunnydale High School in the final, high school years for the gang and all of that. So coming into it, it's going to be really fun to go through this.
That already sounds bittersweet.
I know, right? But it's going to be fun because it's going to lead to all the best, great stuff. But either way, we're ready to jump back in and continue our journey with the Slayer. So today, we will be covering Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Season 3, Episode 1, Anne. Aired September 29th, 1998, written and directed by Joss Whedon. In this episode of Buffy, after running from the pain and guilt of her past, Buffy tries to disappear into the City of Angels, aka Los Angeles, living under a new name and working a dead-end job. But when a hellish dimension threatens runaway teens, she's forced to step back into the fight she thought she'd escaped. Back in Sunnydale, Giles hunts for clues to her whereabouts, while the rest of the gang learns firsthand just how hard it is to patrol the Hellmouth without their slayer. Yum. Guest stars this episode, we have Julia Lee back this time to portray Lily, and we'll talk about that as we get to it. And we've already talked about her in the past. The past will come back to bite you in the ass. We have Carlos. I think his last name is 𝐤𝐸𝐻. It's Jacott. So I'm going to say 𝐤𝐸𝐻. Carlos 𝐤𝐸𝐻, even though he's not French. Maybe he is. Who knows? But he played our villain this episode, Ken. And then we had Chad. His last name's Todd. Okay, so this is a tongue twister, and I'm keeping this in here because why not? Chad Todd Hunter. What is that last name, Todd Hunter? It's like two first names.
That's weird.
Like, is he Todd? Is he Hunter? Is he Chad?
So technically he has like 3 names.
He's a Chad. And he is portraying Ricky all of the 5 seconds we get him. And he's obviously the young version of Ricky, not old man Ricky.
I figured. With a name like Chad.
I'm no one. Special notes for this season, though, going into it, we have a new Buffy logo. The official Buffy logo was finally premiered. We don't have that scratchy Buffy the Vampire Slayer writing from season 1 and 2. We have the actual trademarked official logo on our screen now, and a theme rework. They had to redo that because there was a few beats in the first and second original theme that they did. Obviously it's still the same song, but there was, if you really listen to it, there's a couple of spots where they got off track with either the guitars or something like that. The rhythm just wasn't fully synced the way it needed to be, so they re-recorded it and got this new fresh version of it, which if you really played them two side by side, you can kind of hear where they get off a little bit in the first couple of seasons, and then now this one's just perfected and beautiful. And then in the title sequence, we obviously get all the new images, new ones, a couple from season 1, but mostly it's season 2 and a little bit of the beginning few episodes of season 3 that we get in our shots for this season. And then we also see that Seth Green has been added to the main cast and credited in the opening credits title sequence as well. So he's getting paid that money. He's got a larger role. He ain't gonna be in 6 episodes or 5 or however many he was last season. He's gonna be in every single one now. And a bigger role. The ending Slayer stance is now also replaced in the title sequence, with Buffy at the end of the harvest being replaced for Buffy's stance in this episode with the hammer and hunga-munga weapon. Fucking awesome shot. We'll obviously talk about that because I'm gonna masturbate all over it and come everywhere. Hot. She's awesome. She's a badass bitch. And then obviously the title of the episode we learn is actually Buffy's middle name, because I remember all last season whenever we did the season 2 wrap up and we did the Slayer prediction.
Who the fuck is Anne?
But then you told me, like, when we were on a trip, you're like, I started thinking about it and I remembered that Buffy's middle name is Anne. So I was like, maybe it's about Buffy. Like, I don't remember how you said you knew that. I don't know if I had said it in the past or like we've talked about Buffy and Summers and it just clicked. But I remember you said that to me and I didn't press the issue, but I was just like, oh, okay. Now, Courtney, I do have a surprise special guest actually here with us that I didn't tell you about. So are you excited to meet our guest? Can I bring her in?
Yes.
For those who can't see us on cam right now, I'm going to take a little picture and I'll upload it on our Instagram story. No, I got it before the season started. It's the Buffy Funko Pop of Anne. I just brought out and held her up. So she's here with us. Look at her little like weapon and stuff, little scratch.
I love it.
She goes, I'm Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and you are? I love it though. Super cute. I bought it like maybe a couple weeks before we ended season 2, and she's just up there on my little space, obviously, that I've got decored with Buffy shit everywhere. So pretty cool stuff. I was excited to get her. I was like, this is my first Funko Pop that I have the Billy Butcherson one from Hocus Pocus that I got as a gift from Grayson forever ago, but those are my only 2 Funko Pops that I actually own because I don't actually like those things everywhere, but I still got to get one of those Buffy dolls and a couple other things that are of that nature of props. I guess I should say merchandise.
I don't know how you ever kept that from me, but obviously you just got it, so that makes sense.
I couldn't show it to you beforehand because we hadn't watched Anne. I almost thought about bringing her on her trip and bringing her out whenever Buffy was standing there. I'd be like, just bring her out like out of my pocket. You'd be like, okay, there, Anne, and that was out of pocket. And I'd be like, I know. No, but I didn't want you to see it because obviously you didn't know the stance or the imaging or anything like that. So,
right, of course, yeah.
It makes sense. But getting into the episode, we can actually start. What did you think of this one?
I liked it a lot. It was good for an intro to the season that was a lot less dramatic than I thought it would be. There was just enough drama and action and stuff, but it was like not so close to home. So I was relieved in a way that we started off on that note, and I was kind of glad that things played out the way they did in the end.
Obviously, we watched it together, and then you said you rewatched it going back in so that way you could really get your notes and stuff. Did you take it in differently than you did the first time watching it? Especially, I want to come off the fact that we were at that I Know What You Did Last Summer live screening, like at the location and all that night. Whole other story to get into at some point. But that being said, like, we were really tired after that night. I know I was falling asleep. I remember being like in the middle of that episode, and I was like, should I pause it and be like, we can watch this again the rest of the rest of it in the morning? Like, I really did think that while we were sitting there, because I was dozing off. I was like,
I think you were more tired than me though, because you had been driving and stuff. So.
I had never dozed off on Buffy before though, and I was like, what is happening? But taking it in differently, seeing it, especially sitting and watching it more on your own versus with me and further like video or anything like that, even though low-key I'm not going to use any of that footage because it wasn't that surprising, because I was just dead looking the whole time, so whatever. The reactions weren't reacting that episode, so we don't have that. Plus, it wasn't important. I just was like, we're together, why not record it and see if I get anything from it?
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, to answer your question, I did obviously absorb it like way differently just because I was paying attention. And I think like you do with most things when you were watching something a second time, especially not something quite as long as a movie and just an episode of some sort, you have like, I guess your bandwidth for it is different the second time around because you already know what's going to happen. So you're like less anticipating things and more so paying attention to like the details because you already know what's coming. Mm-hmm. So there were a lot of things, oddly, that I was laughing at that I don't think I laughed at the first time. So I guess maybe you're right. Like maybe I was a little more tired than I remember being. But yeah, I laughed a lot more the second time around.
Yeah.
At like the dumbest stuff, obviously. So that was a little more surprising because I remember sitting there and I was like, I don't remember it being this funny like before.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I liked it a lot to start off the season because it's not on such a heavy foot or whatever, it's just like nice. We're easing into things. We're not like making a big deal out of one thing or the next. It's like business as usual, even though Buffy's not there and she's still somehow dealing with business as usual. So it was kind of nice.
Yeah, definitely. I love this opener. The first episode to get everything moving along. I love this episode for that. It's a lot different than last season, and it really puts us in a completely different atmosphere as well. I would say that this one changes the show for the season in my eyes. Like, I feel for the first time we followed Buffy outside of Sunnydale and stay with her there the entire episode, and it takes us out of our element. And I really like the vibe of a solo adventure for just her. Because we're not dealing with the Scooby. We are seeing them, but we're not dealing with her directly in the Scooby gang. She's like a part. And obviously we left off last season with her leaving town and we had no clue where she was going. And it immediately does tell you this season is doing something a little different. And there's almost like a disorienting feeling of being cut off from the usual setting and faces. And I love how it stretches the energy of the episode because of that. It's also like the show itself needed a breather after season 2's trauma as well. And this is like that decompression episode, but still with a little bit of stakes because obviously there's bullshit going down because Buffy, even when she tries to leave town and get away from her life, that shit just still comes back at her, And I feel like we still get to, like I said, check in with the gang back in town, and we get the cross cuts that really make the distance feel bigger because we're seeing them in Sunnydale and then Buffy in Los Angeles, and Buffy's truly alone in this moment of self-imposed exile, I'll say, while life is moving on without her, because life in Sunnydale is pretty much still like they're going back to school, they're having all these new elements and fresh start type stuff coming up, and also still trying to like reel it in, like keep it going, like keep their heads above water in a way as well. I feel like it's comforting in an odd way how the Scooby Gang is trying to keep it together in Sunnydale, to like sum up basically what I was saying. And it's a little reminder that the show doesn't stop just because Buffy stepped away. So that's kind of fun. I also really like the inclusion of Lily. I find it so perfect, not just as someone for Buffy to interact with, but as like a literal callback to her past, reminding us that she can't escape who she is, but her past always does find her. Like I said, the past will come back, bite you in the ass. It's like the third time I've said it over the Crossfire podcast. I said it in the dark age. It's a Scream quote. I feel like there's something karmic about that, though. And I like that it's not just Buffy helping someone, but Lily is kind of distorted in a mirrored version of Buffy. It helps Buffy find her way back more than anything, and being her role in the episode does that as such. And I very much love Julia's portrayal of Lily in this episode versus how we saw her before in the last character that she plays. Even though some parts linger, by the end of the episode it's like a whole new person is being forced into existence, and Julia nails that role this time around because she has so much more time on screen than she did last episode. So I like that, and who she's going to be portraying on the show, like in this possibility that she has this whole new life before her. And obviously we'll talk about that more, but I really also like the slow build of Buffy coming back to herself. I find it very satisfying. She's obviously working as a waitress, living under a fake name. It's not a fake name because it's a real name, but she's nobody else knows that. And she's really cut off, but the little moments across the episode start waking her up. And when she finally steps up again, I feel like it's something that's very earned for her. And the LA stuff that we get is a little bit more grittier, more washed out in tone. That makes it feel like a different show in a good way because of the fact that we're somewhere else with Buffy. Just to kind of cycle back to the beginning of my statements, I really also like the element of the underground alternate dimension that we get as well. It's very creepy and cool, and it's interesting how we get forced labor within that, and there's also like a whole metaphor within that, which we'll talk about later. But I thought that was very interesting how they did it. And the fact that the teenagers are also being literally drained of their identity and youth by an oppressive system is like the overall theme for that, and like the subtext you can gather. And then it's like, it works until they're dead basically, and then spits them back out type thing. And like, and that's literally a metaphor for our existence in America, or under like capitalism, or, this like money hungry greed. Yeah, literally life, like I said. So I wasn't going to say that, but then I was like, well, let me connect that a little bit, and I'll like go back into it later. And then I'll just close that out with saying that, like, coming off of Becoming Part 2, like you were saying, it's kind of the perfect reintroduction back into the show because it's not as serious as what we were dealing with. Even though we got a lot going on, you kind of get what I was calling earlier, the decompression of all of that. We can kind of settle with it. We don't have to feel like things are just as tense. Buffy could have come back being a bitch and all this other stuff. And we see that she's broken, but she's not entirely gone. And this episode shows that no matter how far she runs, who she is, the Slayer will always resurface. And I love her reclaim of it by the end of the episode.
Me too.
You ready to start the episode?
Yes.
All right, let's press play. Into every generation, there is no longer a Slayer prologue. We open where every new season starts, the graveyard, at the fresh burial plot and labeled tombstone for Andrew Hollick. Him beginning to emerge from the dirt, a newly risen vampire, taking notice to Leg standing before him, a stake behind the person's back. He looks up to see Willow, the vampire slayer. Who declares, smirking,
"That's right, big boy. Come and get it."
Then immediately backing away from the vamp as he snarls at her. She's less confident immediately than she was pretending to be. I love it because you get the reveal that it's Willow standing there. You might think that that's Buffy there, and we might see some stuff later on of how she came back to Sunnydale, but no, it's fucking Willow. She's the stand-in for the Slayer for this episode in a way, or at least she's trying to be. She even got the leather on and all that, trying to act like all cool and shit. But I love it because Allison's acting is so great because she's smirky and does that little eyebrow raise whenever she makes her statement. And then as soon as the vampire gets fully out the grave and goes to advance on her, she starts stepping back like, oh, fuck, what do I do now? She's like, didn't think that far ahead. I mentioned it to you. I liked Willow's new haircut. I was like, oh, yeah, last season Buffy came back with a fresh bob. And now Willow took a few inches off her hair last season and went a little bit brighter red. It's a fun mirror between them. It's just a vibe. Thankfully for her, the gang is there, though, and Xander and Oz take on the vamp, who quickly overpowers the boys with flips and kicks, knocking back Xander into Willow and running off for the getaway as Oz takes the stake and throws it after him like he's going to do something and missing entirely. This is probably one of the first moments when you just giggled back to yourself. You laughed originally, but it's so funny. It's comical as shit because he all aims it like he's legitimately going to do like what Buffy would do. Because if Buffy had to do that, it would have staked that vampire. It would have went into his chest. She had the force. She would have had the precision, and it bounces off that fucking, it even makes the thunk sound off the tombstone that's like right over there, and he's like,
it really never works.
points for confidence and effort, though, Oz.
It also shows that Willow and Oz make the perfect couple because she basically did the exact same thing where it's like she was so confident until she wasn't, and he did the same thing, like until it panned out to where you could see what actually happened with the steak. You like, because of how he throws it and his face is like so serious, you're like, hell yeah, you're like, he's gonna fucking do it, and then you see it go dunk.
Well, Xander arrives at two problems for this trio as to why Andrew just got away, because obviously he runs out of the cemetery and he's out of there. He's out of there. One being cheater Andy's commitment to the gymnastics team is the being reason for their failure. Two,
come and get it, big boy.
That shit's so funny because he looks at Willow and he's like, why did you say that? It's so funny. And Willow chalks it up to her using a pun or something witty like the Slayer always does to throw the vamps off, but not landing in the delivery or the same impact on the whole thing. Like, Willow, you do not need to be the vampire Slayer, just saying. She's like, Kendra's dead. I'm now the Slayer. She's been activated. Xander comes to the fact that he feels that they took Buffy's punning for granted over her Slayer abilities and needing to speak in past tense as well, because they will not do as such when she gets back. She's like, oh, Xander, no, we can't talk like that. You got to be more optimistic. He's like, sorry, I'm all about the pessy vibes, the pessimists, you know? And they discuss the new school year starting the next day and also ponder Buffy knowing possibly about the school's day starting and also how Oz won't be there because he technically was a senior last year, and Xander can't believe that he can't wait to see Cordelia. The three leave the graveyard, Willow in hopes that Buffy might just show up tomorrow even though she's been kicked out, commenting how she wishes that they knew where she was. And we find out where Buffy is because we clip over to a hazy yet sunny day on the beach Buffy's walking the shore of. Close your eyes, cueing in as she stops and Angel's arms wrap around her. And we already know some bullshit because the sun is still just beaming on this beach and Angel out here. Like, we know it's a dream. But he embraces her as she wonders how he found her, and him noting that if he was blind, he would find her. Her wanting him to stay with her and him commenting, forever. I mean, that's the whole point, right? And that he will never leave, whispering to her, not even if you kill me. As she stares off with a pained face before awakening from this dream, Buffy gets out of bed in her dingy-ass apartment, moving over to look out on the city street of Los Angeles below her, aka the not-so-great part of town. You know, like Cordelia always says. And then we cue the Buffy theme. Row, now, now, now. Coming back in, we are in a diner and we find Buffy there working and being taunted by disgusting men. And when that one guy smacks her on the ass, we all expect her to flip him onto his ass immediately because that's what I want her to do. We're like, hold up. No, we do not do this. But she refrains and moves over to meet two love-struck, dirty, homeless-looking youngins to take their order, them referring to her by her name tag, which displays Anne. The girl says that she wants cake, but the boy suggests a more healthier substitute, aka pie. But they might not get either because it appears they only have what looks to be $1.59 to spend. I'll counted the change on the table to see what the fuck was going on here because I was like, obviously this is also 1998, the end of it. So, I mean, pie was probably 50 cents as it's $8.99 now for a slice of pie. And we find out that they only have $1.59 because they blew all their money on fresh matching tattoos, two halves of one heart on each of their arms displaying each other's name, Ricky's name on her arm and Lily's name on his. Buffy calling the artwork nice and permanent. I love how she says it too. She's like, oh, that's nice. And then she like stops back and she's like, hold on, I'm Buffy and I have to remember to be smartass.
At least a little.
She's like, I need to get that covered up. She's like, I'm glad I didn't get it on the back of my neck.
Fuck off.
Ricky giving Lily some kisses and stating, yeah, forever. I mean, that's the whole point. Buffy getting spooked by these words from her dream being spoken when Lily takes more notice to Buffy, asking if she knows her because she looks familiar. Buffy being avoidant and Lily pressing where she's from. Buffy walks away to go get their pie that I'm guessing is going to be on her, by the way, because Buffy going to have to pay for that shit. She asks another waitress to cover for her so she can go home and get out of there. And Buffy obviously didn't notice who she was, but she was like, oh shit, somebody's maybe on to me. What is happening? Maybe somebody saw me on the news or like, I don't know what's going on. So I got to get the fuck out of here. Right? I never really understood too much why she like dips immediately, but we see that Lily starts to make the connections later. What are your initial thoughts on where we find Buffy in LA and working this job and living the life that she's currently did you like expect that she was up to something different or
I thought she was like living with her dad or something. I didn't think she was fending completely for herself, and I didn't think that she was truly just like adulting, you know, like she's working, she has a shit apartment, like you said. She's just not living the best life. Like, let's just put it that way. And then I just have so many questions because I'm like, if you are not living with your dad or living with your mom or living with a friend and it's up to you totally where to go, why in the fuck would you come here?
I know, right? I was like,
you could have gone anywhere in this country and you went to where you went. No.
It was like the closest, but she's also familiar with it because she knows that like she grew up there. But
That's
also
true.
like, why are you gonna? I mean, obviously she probably has
But
lived
why
in
are
the
you in the
dingier part of
roughest
town.
part?
Yeah, exactly. But I think that's because that's what she can afford, and also it's the place that she can go to escape. All these other teens are ending up on, you know, shit row. I'm gonna call it because it's not death row. It's just the like bad part of Los Angeles. So she's living there, so she stays under the radar, so people possibly won't notice her. And I love how you bring up her dad because whenever she left town and I saw that she was in LA initially, I was like, I wonder if she has contact with her dad. Like she got him Venmoing her money every 2 weeks for her rent or something, like, you know, because obviously that diner is not paying her shit probably to work there. And her apartment that she's probably just getting by. And this is LA in 1998. So that rent is probably still pretty high. You know, today that apartment that she had is probably $4,000 off jump. And it literally, it comes with a handful of cockroaches. So
complimentary.
Either way, that's where we found Buffy. I'm happy that she is taking care of herself, though, at the end of the day, more than anything, though. At least she's like doing the damn thing, no matter how struggling she is. But she's like, whatever about it. In the library on the first day of school, which is bustling with the most students we've ever seen getting books, as we find Willow informing Giles of their night before's patrol and glitches in the system, aka the vampires getting away. A system that's definitely not improving because Willow's all like, I think it's improving. And we're like, but not. Giles commenting on them taking up this task while Buffy's gone, but also needing them to remain careful because if they wind up dead, he's going to be entirely cranky. Willow, she's like,
But we try not to get killed. That's part of our whole mission statement. Don't get killed.
Courtney comes up to Willow and the two exit the library together talking about summer vacay, which Courtney's was all about dread because it was organized fun, as she calls it, at her nightmare resort with huge cockroaches. Oh, she has cockroaches just like Buffy. I didn't even notice that I said that, and I just brought myself full circle. I thought it was funny because you remember last season's opener when she was walking around with like her friends and she was talking about how she had a shitty summer vacation then too. You might not truly remember that,
yes,
but she was like,
it was a nightmare, a total nightmare. I mean, they promised me they'd take me to St. Croix, and then they just decide to go to Tuscany. Art and buildings. I was totally beachless for a month and a half. No one has suffered like I have suffered.
But I thought it was funny that we're connecting back to last season's opener in this way too. This is 2 summers now that Cordelia's gone away and she's had a shitty vacation. So like, why would you even go anywhere with your parents anymore?
I'm saying.
She wonders how she looks and is clearly a bit nervous yet excited about seeing Xander, hoping he didn't ditch her for some new girl, aka another one of the monsters that he's always seeming to attract. She departs from Willow to go find him. Willow calling out a shocked hi at that moment too, as Oz comes to visit her with books. Not for her though, for him. Because funny story, he didn't graduate due to not attending summer school, and now he's landed back here in Sunnydale High to repeat his senior year again. Not exactly a turn on to Willow, her stressing a bit not finding it cute, as Xander barges up to them, wondering if they've seen Cordelia. He's very geeked up because of the apparent heat that's going to occur between the two when they see each other again, leaving them to go find Cordy. And I love that too, because between the two of them, Cordelia and him, like Cordelia's like, how's my hair? And she's like, it looks good. And Xander like comes back on screen. He's like, how's my, and Willow cuts him off at that moment. She's like, your hair is fine. Like, damn. So they're a perfect match. And Oz repeating his senior year. It's so interesting how they decided to tie this in. Like you might not really pay attention that his senior year was last year. You know, I think they made that because she said she was dating a senior like around the phases episode and stuff. She made that like a point so that we knew, but you might forget it. So they work it back in the beginning of this episode. And then they also bring it back to say like, the way he says it though, he's like, she's like, well, summer semester went pretty okay. And he's like, yeah, but you remember how I didn't go? Like, you know, it's just really funny. So they work it in good so that way Oz is around. And I really like this because now we can continue to develop his relationship with Willow in front of us versus being on like the sidelines of it or seeing interactions with them other places. And if you were in between, you would think Oz doesn't have as much as the show. But now since he's still at school, that's why he's in the main title, in the main cast, and like all of that. So I like that we have that. I also really love how Larry comes by with that one student at this moment too. He's like, this year is going to rule. And he starts listing all the reasons as to how it's going to rule. And then he ends on the one, he's like, only if, they don't have quite as many mysterious deaths. Like, it's one of my favorite fucking moments because it just shows how aware the student body is of the school and the energy of Sunnydale fucking High as well. It's showing that there's the normal people in school too. And we remember Larry from last season. So we've got him as a little, like that small little cameo. He's got 2 seconds in the episode, but we know Larry is still here,
And he hasn't died.
And he hasn't died yet. Courtney and Xander meet up over by the lounge, and there is absolutely no heat. And it's replaced by the most awkward hellos and 4 seconds of conversation because they're like, how was your summer? And they're like, good. How was yours? It was okay. Okay, bye. I'm like, Xander is antsy as fuck. Cordelia seems kind of irritated. Like, one, you should have just kissed her and said hey and invited her to head to class with you, like walk versus part ways. That way something can unfold. Even if you're awkwardly walking to class together, at least you're still on the way together versus this weird stuff that's going on. I was like, why this exchange? I do get that it's funny because they were all both hyping up the fact that they had nerves but they were also excited to see one another. And I'm like, where did all that go by the time y'all linked up? Like I remember being
2 minutes later.
Exactly. What the fuck? But I think it's telling that they don't have much when it comes to actual communication versus the heat that they feel whenever they're making out and having more like body to body contact. It's very, like I said, telling in that way. That's where a lot of their relationship stems from. Whenever it's just brought down to them like sitting and holding space together, they don't do that so well without the body language being a part of that.
No, they definitely remind me of like a trauma bonding situation.
Literally, and we find that out again later that still stands true.
Yeah,
they did this all in one shot. This whole back to school sequence where it opens in one long shot, going from the school like as it's bustling and moving. As we pass Larry and stuff, we go up into the lounge. We pass by Willow and Oz and their interaction. It's like one big continuous shot. And I also like how it distinguishes that once again, life in Sunnydale is still moving on. The first day of school is still going on and very busy compared to where we find Buffy quiet alone in her room in our next scene. Because we flash over to LA where Buffy is home midday alone in her apartment opening up a fucking can of SpaghettiOs. Like, who is eating SpaghettiOs?
I cannot.
Buffy's like, I'm basically Ricky and I have $1.59 to spend on groceries. So I had to buy 10 cans of 15 cents Chef Boyardee.
No, that literally is the answer to your question earlier as to why she had to get the fuck out of the diner, because she stole Ricky's $1.59 and she went and bought her SpaghettiOs.
No! Oh my God, shut the fuck up. Oh my God, I love that. That's the funniest shit because you just brought that out of nowhere. This is what makes us fun people. That is so true. But now we got a can of Buffy out here stealing fucking money from fucking stuff. I'm taken out by that. That is so funny. I love you. But to conclude my laughter, because like when you really look at it, while she's sitting there opening that, she is so devastated looking. Like, this bitch looks sad, and I would be sad too if I'm sitting here eating this dirt.
I was gonna say, I have never seen a person be happy as fuck eating over an open can of SpaghettiOs. Like, first off, you don't even have a stove to heat these motherfuckers up.
Hell no. She's probably eating the can. I don't know, but it's so sad too. Like, I don't even know if she has a fucking kitchen table because she's sitting on her bed opening that shit up. It's really sad. And it shows that contrast because they flash it like after that whole long sequence, we flip right over to Buffy and she's just upset here chilling with her SpaghettiOs. Like, that's just not cool. I feel bad for her, and it's not the life that I want to be seeing her living. Like,
no.
As a Capricorn, that bitch need to be eaten. She's an earth sign. She needs food, not no SpaghettiO food. It ain't the Chef Boyardee for me. We also clip to her later on that day heading to work, walking down the street, passing by an older homeless woman declaring that she's no one repeatedly. Lady kind of reminded me of Gator, just saying. That's my stepmom, rest in peace. But like, just for some reason, like the scraggly hair and like, it's just really kind of reminded me of Gator.
I shouldn't have asked.
And we love Gator, but regardless. She says that she's no one repeatedly, and a man like walks up to that boy that's sitting on the ledge, which you might not pay attention to because we've got kind of like different people passing on the street, not too much going on, but we see that one guy handing out the flyers to the youth boy sitting on the street right there too, which we'll later find out is Ken. And then back at the school, Giles is excited getting off the phone about a potential lead and reports of a young woman in Oakland fending off vampires that previous week, and he's going to head out on a flight to head that way. Xander wondering what makes this different than the last 9 leads, this one being that the flight has a meal included. Willow not wanting Giles to get his hopes up again, her glad that he's at least looking for her though. He leaves and Willow ponders if Giles might find her, Xander exclaiming that he thinks he will find her when Buffy wants to be found. So fucking sad. I remember talking to you about it as like the next scene was opening up for a second. I was like, that's crazy. He's been on 9 flights now to try to go search for Buffy. He keeps getting leads from people of where she might potentially be. And that air flights, even in 1998, it ain't cheap to fucking travel. Like on a librarian salary. Like, I know he's getting paid by the Watchers
and
Council.
he's about to lose his whole ass job because it's the whole first day of school and he's already leaving.
That's what I'm saying. And he about to get fired from the Watchers Council for losing his Slayer.
5 minutes.
It's fucked up because he's paying all this money to go search for these people. And like the Watchers Council is like,
where's Joyce?
They're like, you lost your Slayer? Oh, we gonna find Joyce here in a couple minutes. But Joyce ain't doing nothing. Joyce up in here working on a damn dishwasher and cleaning her house and just like doing IRS back taxes and stuff. All right, where am I then? So Giles is off to find Buffy. Later that night, Buffy's walking home from work, and this bitch is just all over the fucking streets. Like, every time we see her, she's outside walking around. So, you know, she's getting them steps in. I hope she got her Fitbit on. And we see Lily behind her calling out Anne a couple of times, not getting any reaction, and then calling out Buffy. Buffy stopping dead in her tracks as Lily comes up, hoping that she's not mad, she won't give her away or anything, and noting that Buffy must not recognize her. Buffy thinks she means from the diner. She's like, Lily? But what she really means is she knows Buffy from before, explaining and reminding us of the past.
I mean, from before. I was calling myself 𝐿 then. I used to... Well, I was in this cult that worshipped vampires. So lame, I know. Yeah.
Such a cool moment, though, and callback, obviously, to Lie to Me. That was the last time we met her as 𝐿, and she was living a whole different life. And now we see that she's run away again and still living like a crappy life. Like, she's not like, you know what I mean? At least I'm not going to say she's obviously meant to look run down this episode. But last time we saw her, she was actually really hot. Like, I remember her little choker that she had on and her cute ass, like, 90s fucking velvet dressy vibes and all the things. Like, her eyeshadow was like a whole mess because it was like baby blue and I don't know what's going on there, but it looked good on her pale skin and her blonde hair. But she was styled up there, and now we can see she's decreased versus the life that she was living obviously then. So I don't know how she was making means, but it's also interesting too, and I don't think I go on to it too much in detail, but I like how she gives a little bit of her backstory too while she's talking to Buffy. She's talking about like, well, for a while I was following a preacher calling myself Sister Sunshine. I think she says that she was doing that before she was the vampire queen in Sunnydale, like trying to be Drusilla and stuff. But then she ended up here. So both the lives that she lived beforehand seemed a little bit more pleasurable than this one. Like, more pleasing. Now she's like literally run down. She's basically at her rock bottom, I think, versus the other times. I think it's interesting too because Buffy does ask her, what do they call you back home? And she immediately shuts up and just kind of looks down like, I ran away from home and that was a long time ago. Like, I don't know who I am and I don't know who they are type thing, you know? So it already lets us know that we're going to be getting a deeper dive into Lily's world in a way. Well, I say Lily now, but we don't know what that bitch's real name is. She'd have been sister. We never know. She's done been Sister Sunshine with the preacher, then 𝐿, and now she's Lily. But either way, Buffy says that she remembers. Lily goes on to mention that she never got to thank Buffy for saving their lives, her wondering if she's told anyone who she was. Lily has not, because she knows how it is when you got to get lost. They walk off together making small talk about where Lily lives, aka the different places that she frequents for her shelter as a homeless person. Lily wondering where Buffy came up with Anne, her informing us and learning now that it's her middle name. Lily says Ricky came up with the name Lily for her since she's always changing, and I know I already gave out this the other spew, so I can get past that, but she does land on the fact that 𝐿 is my exotic phase. And then Buffy's like, oh, it's like a mushroom, and she's like, wait, what? And she's like, that's embarrassing. And I was like, yes, it is indeed a mushroom. And I remember I made a joke back then when she said it in the episode that we recorded, and it was a future foreshadow to this episode. But fun fact, like, I hunt those all the time in the woods with Anna around here, and I've always done that like since my childhood. Like, I love those mushrooms. They're like delicious, but they're also very rare and a delicacy. They're very expensive, I will say. If you buy them, like whenever you can actually get them, they're almost up there with like truffles, like as far as their expensive nature, because they're really hard to find. You have to find them in like swampy, very muddied out, very shaded humidified areas. So in the summertime, August, that's when they start popping up all out the ground. But last summer, me and Anna was out there getting them shits. We made like spaghetti sauce with them bitches. We made mushroom pizza with them. They're just so delicious. They have like a nice buttery kind of velvety texture to them. So they really pair well with like red sauce or like I said, pizza. So like Italian food, essentially. But also we made fried ones too. They were really good. And I made like a homemade ranch to dip them in. A lot better than the SpaghettiOs that Buffy had, I will say. Buffy should have got some of the chanterelle mushrooms to put in that. Well, they exchange a few little bit mores about Lily's past. A few little bit mores, like who even talks like that? They exchange a little more of Lily's past, which we've already talked about, which, like I said, isn't full of details from her life. And she changes the convo to if Buffy has any money because she's broke and knows of a fun rave that they could go to and hang out together. But Buffy isn't for that vibe since she kind of just wants to be left alone right now. Lily misconstruing this as bugging Buffy, her apologizing for sounding like that, but offering her money for her and Ricky to still attend if they'd like to. I thought that was really nice of Buffy. Like, even though she didn't want to go, she's like, well, actually, if you want to have something to do and, you know, get out of like what your crappy life is for a night, here, let me pay for you to do this. I got your $1.59. I can get that to you. With interest, since I borrowed it from my SpaghettiOs. She's like, I got paid earlier.
She's like, I still my SpaghettiOs too, so I still got the $1.59.
But a man bumps in between them whenever she's trying to do as such, aka Ricky, stumbling down the road. And this man is old, obviously, so we know it's not actually Ricky, but we found out later it is. Lily calling him impolite in this action. The man turning around to look at them clueless, Buffy wondering if he's good, as he states, I'm no one. Walking into the street and into oncoming traffic, Buffy running over to push him out the way before getting hit by a truck and getting hit herself. I was like, damn, why didn't he just call himself no one? So this is pretty like okay for him to go out here in the street and get killed. He's obviously like, this is what he wanted to do with his night. He's ready to go. He was over it. So, and he's obviously very confused, whatever. But also, once again, Buffy's a protector. So it's really nice that she is like, I have to save this guy, which sucks for her because it draws a lot of attention to her. And Buffy gets up wigging out and runs off because we know that she's totally fine, but no one else does. But she doesn't want to attract this attention to her because that'll just cause problems. And on her way, she bumps into the man that we saw earlier passing out flyers, causing them to fall everywhere. And she starts helping him pick them up. And he's asking her what she's running away from. Him being seemingly insightful about how she's got the look. And I think it's interesting too because like he says she's got the look because she just got hit by a car. And now she's got dirt smudges and shit on her face from the ground. She literally turned into asphalt for 5 seconds. So that's why she looks dirty, because beforehand she looked put together. She's got like a work outfit on. So you know she doesn't look like the criteria of these other little homeless people. So first of all, do not come for our Buffy talking about you got the look. No, this happened 5 seconds ago, motherfucker. If you said it saw me 10 minutes ago, if you had been calling Ann out in the street, then I would have been looking hot.
I would have been like, I got the look of someone who almost just died as I just got struck by a vehicle.
Yeah. Like, well, I almost got hit by a car just now. Did you not hear that big crash around the corner? Like 5 seconds ago? What's happening? And she's like, the look. And he's like a kid that had to grow up too fast. He offers her a flyer after learning her fake name, introducing himself as Ken, leader of a group home that helps grant solace to homeless youth. She turns him down, but he does let her know that kids there get old and despair is what causes this. Well, that they get old fast, I guess he says. Because he's like, you get old fast here. And we're like, what does that mean? We're going to find out. And then I wrote my notes. I was like, no, it's you, Ken, not Despair. Your name must be Despair instead of Ken. Is that your middle name? Anne is Buffy's middle name. Yours is Ken Despair Demon. Ken Despair Destad, you know? I don't know. Either way, we get that really awkward montage of homeless people in LA during this too. And I was telling you, like, I hated that sappy scene. I mean, it is nice because we get to see what life is like, because that is homeless people and oftentimes homeless youth in the world. So, I mean, it hits a little bit differently as an adult watching it. But back in the day, I totally used to fast forward the 2 seconds of this until we got to the bronze with our gang, because I was just like, why am I watching these, like, old bums on the street? I don't really vibe with it. But
like, I didn't sign up for a musical today.
I will say, when I was developing the notes for this and the script, I noticed that in our wrap-up and in the season 2 finale, we talked about how Buffy was forced to grow up too fast in the back half of season 2. So I saw this as a little callback from Ken saying that, because that's literally what he said. Like, you had to grow up too fast. You have to look. And that's exactly where Buffy is. She had to grow up way too fast. And now she's out here living the life. Then this is like the means that she's able to live by right now, because she's, 17 years old living on the fucking lam. So what else do we expect? The song Back to Freedom by Belly Love is the song that's playing in the background. And obviously it takes us over to that song being performed in the Bronze, where it's depressing night, apparently. Willow and Xander discussing, wondering what Buffy's doing right now. Well, Willow is anyway, because Xander thinks she means Cordy. He's like talking about all that stuff. And she's like, oh, I assume you possibly mean Buffy and not Cordelia. The Bronze just isn't the same without Buffy, though. Oz comes up bringing drinks, as Xander is noting again, also how they still suck at vampire slayage. Oz optimistic, and Willow offering that they just need to work on timing. Xander landing on realizing that's not really what they need. They need the next best thing to a vampire slayer. Seeing Cordelia walk in the Bronze, looking hot as fuck, as usual, but she's got her cordettes behind us, Harmony missing. I don't know where the fuck Harmony at, but she comes up in there, and Xander states that they need bait, aka Cordelia. So we're like, fuck, they about to try to put her on a stick and wag her in front of a vampire. They're like, come here, Andrew. To just note back, because I preemptively said the other stuff about not liking the shot with the teens and stuff like that, listening to the lyrics of that song, that girl saying, on my way back to freedom, I'm gonna find my way. Obviously that just speaks volumes and makes sense with where we're at and what the theme of this episode is leaning into. So I like how they used it. And that's where I was saying, as an adult really watching it this time, I actually listened to what they're saying. So I was like, oh, any other time, music, studies in the classroom, it all has symbolism in this universe. So it's not for just any reason that they're using this song. We see that a lot. Like, and there's actually a book called Music, Sound, and Silence, I think, for Buffy the Vampire Slayer, that goes into all this type of stuff. I totally need to get that book probably just to read through one day. But music is very important to the show. And music also in film tells a story in itself. Sometimes it helps really play out the scene. It brings us dramatics and all of that, and sometimes it speaks literal volumes. So I thought it was cool that they had that in there for that reason. The next day at the Summers residence, we find Joyce. Finally, we're at Joyce, managing mundane life, receiving a knock at the door, getting up looking very hopeful, quickly rushing over to the door to open it. And you can see that she's excited because she's waiting to see if that's Buffy going to be standing out there. I like Christine Sutherland's acting here too, because her face and breath, you can tell that she is very, like I said, hopeful, and doesn't even look out the windows. She just goes straight to the door to try to open it. And we get the overall point across that she's really expecting to see Buffy and really ready for her to come home, wonder where she is, whatever. Her excitement fades really quickly with the realization that it's just Giles at the door, there to tell her of him being back from another non-panned out lead, no Buffy. Joyce letting him know that she can barely leave home because she's afraid that she will miss a call from her needing help. Giles consoling her with facts of Buffy being that bitch, and he assures her that she is fine and very capable of taking care of herself. Joyce just wishes that she could talk to her because the last thing that they did was fight. Giles offering her not feeling guilty, declaring it's not her fault and not to blame herself.
I don't. I blame you. You've been this huge influence on her, guiding her. You had this whole relationship with her behind my back. I feel like you've taken her away from me.
I didn't make Buffy who she is.
And who exactly is she?
That whole statement, though, talk about the emotion, like I was just saying, like of Christine, she shifts right here. She goes from the hopeful to being like, I'm going to cast the blame on you. And it's a valid concern, I think, too, because she has validity on how she's come to terms with all of this, and come to terms also with Giles' influence and secrecy with Buffy, because she's kind of interacted with Giles last season and interacted with him in the hospital in season 1 whenever Darla bit her neck all up and stuff too. And she's now starting to like, everything's clicked full circle in her mind, and she's like, okay, now I understand that this man, I get why this older person's around. It's not just that people are nice at the school. He's had this whole other relationship with my daughter, and not that she's finding it inappropriate in a way, it's just the fact that she just was not included in this. It's just fucked up because she sees Giles as a way to blame. And I also really like how Giles is immediately rendered speechless at first, but it really isn't his fault at the end of the day. It's not, because there's a reason why they can't say what's going on, because you can't just tell people this information. And he also has told Buffy in the past, like in Passion, whenever Buffy's like, I have to tell her something, Angel's going to come to the house and do something, you know, or Angelus. And he's like, no, you can't do that. So like, she was like all for possibly telling her mom, like, I wouldn't say the full on truth, but letting her know that something was going on. If anything, it could have came out that episode and it would have been a good time for it in a way. But I think for Joyce specifically, that she's looking for someone to blame because she's angry at herself for not noticing something so crucial was going on in her daughter's life for years. And the fact that Buffy threw that in her face, she's like, open your eyes, Mom. What do you think's been going on? And it's come full circle. And she's angry with another adult, if anything, for having this thing with Buffy and her not knowing, you know, bringing it back to like how I started my statement. I feel like it's a tough call because it's not really something the average person should know. But honestly, she needs to take a long pause from weed and to look in front of the mirror, because obviously she ain't been smoking because she's on edge and shit like that. But Joyce needs to go sit in the mirror and look in the mirror and reflect for a little bit on everything that's happened and not immediately just push the blame on Giles, because she's like to the forefront on blaming him, you know?
Agreed. I think I got frustrated initially with Joyce about it because obviously Giles has been the one out here like very proactively physically out here in the streets looking for your fucking daughter. And I'm sorry, but if my child was missing, whether it's due to my own hand pushing them away or not, that doesn't eliminate my responsibility from my kid, whether I'm the one who in a rational argument said get the fuck out of the house. You know what I mean? Like, you're still my responsibility. You're still my child. I'm not going to be sleeping at night if I don't know where the fuck you are, because in my head, you're living Buffy's life. And I don't want that for you. You know what I mean? So it's like the reality is very clear, like you're saying, to everyone but Joyce, who just doesn't want to look in the mirror. And I do understand you're bothered with Giles, but I don't think that this is the time to project any kind of blame onto anyone other than yourself.
Yeah.
Because of the fact that at least he's proactively seeking your child the way that you should be. You know, and I know her excuse is like, oh, I don't want to leave because what if she calls and she needs help? Bitch, I don't give a fuck. What if she needs help and she can't call because she can't afford to call you? She can't afford a phone. She lives in an apartment with no phone. There's no cell phones in 1997, 1990. You know what I mean? And if there was, they cost $5,000. So it's like, it was new technology. So it's kind of like, there's so many things wrong with her timing, I guess. It's not that she's not valid with her feelings, because I think she is. And I would feel the same way if there wasn't another adult that was really close to my child the way that Giles is with Buffy. And especially if I felt like I was in the dark and then this person is more informed on my child. You know, I get the parental envy there, but it's still not the time or the place to be blaming Giles for what's happening in this moment, because to me it looks like he's doing more than you are to remedy it by actually going out and looking and not just being like, I'll sit here.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, if she comes home and you're not there and she wants to return home, you don't think she's just going to wait on the fucking doorstep till you get there?
Or go up in her room. Like, she knows where the hide key is. Like,
she knows how to get in the window.
She can break that door down. We done seen her break down 17 doors this series, so like, it is what it is. But she gonna get in the house, or like you said, sit on the fucking front porch. But like, yeah, she doesn't need to be playing the blame game is the big thing. And also like how you bring up the fact that Giles is actually actively out here looking for Buffy where she is not, but also the fact that she did say that she can't bring herself to leave the house. And she's obviously having this communication with Giles. He's there to see her, to let her know that he's been on another lead to look for Buffy. So they're having this communication. You would just think, I mean, obviously it's for show for us to give us like this context between them and this boiling of the surface, like that Giles has come back once again to tell him that he can't find Buffy, and she's like, well, I'm gonna finally tell you what I've been thinking, like type thing. But
well, that's what makes it feel like projection, because it's almost like they're both frustrated with the fact that they're not getting an end result, which is to bring Buffy home, or at least find out where she is. So I know that like they're both probably in this really heated headspace and probably disappointed more than anything. And of course they're only in front of each other dealing with it seemingly together. It was just really weird how the contrast happened so quick, because like you're saying, he almost arrived in this like teamwork atmosphere, like, yeah, you stay home in case she calls and I'll be out in the streets working, you know what I mean? And then it almost turned into like, well, I'm blaming you for everything. And if I would have been Giles, I'd be like, well, you're not doing shit other than smoking weed all day, so what's wrong with you?
That's why she's really home. She's home getting stoned all day, and she's like, he'll find her. I can't
miss the dealer.
Like, I gotta pay attention to my other child, Mary
and Jane.
Got Mary Ann over here. Well, very interesting. Our first scene of cutscene transition magic happens as Joyce questions and Who exactly is she? Where we find Buffy at the diner as Lily comes in hot in a frenzy over Ricky being missing. Hoping Buffy can help her, since that's what she does, help people. She knows how to do stuff. Buffy apologizing, but her answer is no. She doesn't want to get into this because she doesn't do this stuff. Not anymore. Lily appearing helpless to her, admitting to Buffy that she's scared. She doesn't know what to do. Buffy gives in, and we flash over to a medical center where Lily and Ricky have been to donate blood for cash and cookies, apparently.
You're a fan of the sugar rush.
It's nice.
I do like the fact that Buffy does end up helping her. This is the part where we start to see Buffy opening back up into this possibility, because in the diner, Lily just literally looks helpless. And even like the way that Julia Lee plays the role too, like she just literally plays helpless so well, like 100%. It's all in her body language and her face and the gentle little nod she does to her shoulder. Like, well, I don't know what to do. It's just very sad. She's got that quiver in her lip and like true fear is set in. And like the fact that also Ricky is her everything and he's gone missing, and like they have communication. And she's like, well, I need to find my boyfriend, and I know that this girl can help me. And then she basically brings Buffy back full circle to where she needs to be. Obviously, we'll talk more about that later, but I just want to make that point really quick because I love that scene and that interaction, because Buffy is very persistent in the fact that she doesn't want to help, but then she sees this person needing help, and it's like that innate ability to help someone as the Slayer. Lillian is like, you do stuff like this, weird stuff like happens, and you help whatever, you know what I mean? But I like how Buffy steps up even though she's been wanting to push things away. A doctor-ish nurse woman approaches, wondering if they want to donate. Buffy telling her, no, you need to donate information is what I need. In the form of looking for their friend Ricky. The woman offering to check the sheet to see if he's been in. Buffy offers while she does that, they could split up to Lily. You know, the one where Lily doesn't come along with Buffy. She's like, can I come with you? And Buffy's like, you do understand the meaning of split up, right? She's like, no, I don't. Lily is so clueless. But it shows that she can't be on her own. You know what I mean? That's why she needs Ricky so bad. Ricky makes all the shots for her. He holds the $1.59 in his non-wallet. And she says all that so that way they can check places that they frequent for potential findings and cover more ground. The lady comes back over to inform that Ricky hasn't been in, but she will definitely let them know if she sees him and let them know that they are looking for him. Lies. I see that like that. You watched American Horror Story, right? You know that part whenever in season 3 Coven, whenever they get the bitch out the fucking ground and she's like, lies in the corner, like when she finds out like that we have a black president and shit. Like that's all that in my head when I wrote out lies, because I put lies with all the S's, and there's like a gift that you can send to people. I'm gonna send it to you later. The two leave while the lady looks sketchy as fuck, us realizing that she knows more than she's let on. I like get that dramatic cue of music too, and we're like, you a bad guy. Ain't got time for you. We think of she the monster. She is basically a monster because she's like helping kill these kids essentially. I wonder if she knows what they know that she don't know that she knows, you know? Like there's something going on. Maybe not to the full degree. She might not have to know there's a hell dimension, but she definitely, like, you know, I'll talk about it later whenever we get to her scene. But that night, Buffy's looking around bandos full of homeless people, coming across the old man that she took a truck for, lying dead in one of the rooms, having committed suicide by drinking a drain cleaner. Like, that's the way he's like, well, the truck didn't work, so now I'm just going to drink this fucking Drain X. Like, he said, my pipes are clogged. He said, I need this spiritual Drano to unclog my chi, aka kill me. But in this event, she takes notice, also checking his pulse, that he has the matching half heart tattoo of Lily on his arm, confused that this may be Ricky. Super cool reveal here.
I was just hella confused. I figured out pretty quickly that, like, obviously this is no mistake and it is in fact Ricky, but like, why is he like suddenly 79?
89? What you talking about? He's 142. Like, oh, that's
no,
crazy.
He ain't Angel.
Oh, yeah, I know, right? Angel's 200 and something, but you know, same thing. At Buffy's apartment, she meets Lily, where they tell each other about their findings, and she tells her about Ricky, thinking that he is dead. Lily in immediate denial, not believing her because he takes care of her, and she's delulu as fuck, getting more upset when Buffy tells her more of the story about the aging, but being sure that it was him, thinking something drained the life out of him, possibly wondering if blood donations are a factor in this, Lily growing frantic and more denial, Buffy having to check her and open up the harsh reality of how these things happen, Lily immediately switching to blaming Buffy that it must be because of her.
You know about monsters and stuff. You could have brought this with you.
So fucked up that she like immediately blames her. She's actually in contact with Joyce, and now she's trying to blame somebody else besides herself. But we immediately see her snap right back into that fear space that she was in, and the denial too. She's like, well, he was old. She's like, well, that's not Ricky. And I'm like, well, no fucking duh, bitch, but it is. She's like, didn't tell her about the tattoo or anything. She's like, he literally had the same tattoo. Like, why didn't you cut his arm off and bring it with you and say, this is his arm? Like, you see the wrinkles all over it. If this was 2025, she would have had that iPhone out real quick, taking a picture, because you know Buffy ain't got no Samsung. And ain't no Android up in her life. And she would have took a picture of that and showed her and be like, bitch, is that not your tattoo? Like, you want to put your arm up by the phone? But it's 1998, so we don't have that. But Buffy is insulted angrily and stating to her,
I didn't bring anything with me. And I didn't ask for you to come to me with your problems. I just wanted to be left alone. If you can't deal, then don't lay it off on me.
Lily not handling this well and leaving the apartment. Changel's reviews points out here when Buffy is telling her all of this, she's also talking to herself. And I didn't take that into account because Buffy has to face the reality that Angel is gone and there is nothing that she can do but try to move past it. And that's probably why she gets a little snippy with Lily, because that reality is really kind of setting in for her. It's fully sunken in for both of them, especially since her old life is being brought back up to the forefront, something that she's been trying to escape. So now it's like the wound is being reopened in a way, but she's also having to speak for somebody else. Like you said, it's another form of projection. You know, she's projecting like her thoughts onto this. Like she's getting blamed and the monster stuff being brought up. And she's like, well, I didn't fucking ask for this. Let me act like a bitch like I wasn't when she was bad. She's like, you want when she was bad, Buffy? Well, I got it for you. Okay. But she lets Lily leave. I would have chased after her because obviously then she could have saved a little bit of this, but wouldn't have been able to do a lot. Outside, Lily is being approached by Ken. And she's like over here standing by that fucking cage crying too, like sniffling and shit, like just hanging out. She has nowhere to go, so I guess she can't just run home. But Ken tells her in their discussion that he knows her and Ricky, and for her to come with him, he will take her to him. And she gets all fucking excited. She's like, Ricky? But she said she was dead. He's like, oh no, he's not dead. He's with us now. And as soon as he says that, the tone changes. And we're like, Ken, you fucked up. Like something going on with you, you know?
I knew it the whole time.
And then this bitch just runs off with him. She's like, okay, Ken, let's go. I like you, Ken. But Ken skeezes me the fuck out pretty much from this point forward, because I wouldn't have never, if I was a homeless teen and he was handing out these flyers, I would have never wanted to go with him anyways or come to his little helping house unless I was really hungry and he was talking about he had SpaghettiOs and stuff. Like maybe I would have went then, but or he had
Why?
pie.
You could have just gone with Buffy and stolen some and gone back to her apartment eating.
Buffy got that weed she stole.
No need to put up with Ken.
Exactly.
No Ken tea around here.
Ken tea, exactly. Well, we flash over to the blood bank where we get one of my favorite scenes this episode. Buffy rips an entire doorknob through the door, gaining entry after hours. She's active urbexing. And I love how she like ripped the door handle and you like all commentated. You're like, what the fuck? Whenever we were watching it, I was like, yep, yeah, I guess Buffy is still doing her thing. She still got her strength, the strength and skill to hunt the doors, to hunt the doorknobs. I wrote my notes. This is me when we go urbexing and getting in a place. Like busting open doors and shit.
I was literally about to say, I wish I knew her.
That's you getting in windows. Well, she starts going through the files, finding people marked as a candidate on their donor charts, asking herself candidate for what? The woman from earlier appearing behind Buffy, asking what the hell she thinks she's doing. Buffy not stopping or looking away as if she knew she was there beforehand.
Breaking into your office and going through your private files. Candidate for what?
The woman states that she's calling the police on that phone next to Buffy hanging on the wall. And Buffy's like, but not, and rips that shit right down. Like, I love it too, because it's another one of the moments where Buffy just casually like reaches over and with one finger rips the whole fucking, like, it's dramatic. Like it pulls out the wall. I just hit my mic. It rips off the wall. You see dust fly from it. All the cords are exposed. Like, it's not just she took the phone off the hook and pulled the cord or something. This bitch is whop. Love it. Like, we just got two displays of Buffy strength, and if I were that bitch, I would have took a step back as soon as I saw that shit. I would have been like, oh fuck. Like, but obviously the woman did kind of pause for a second, and she tells the woman that she's noticing a whole lot of files with candidates, wondering if any of them are missing, like Ricky.
Gosh, I bet they are.
She tells Buffy she's getting herself in a lot of trouble. Buffy retorting she doesn't want trouble. What she wants is to be left alone, quiet in a room featuring a chair and fireplace with a tea cozy.
I don't even know what a tea cozy is, but I want one.
Fun fact for everybody, a tea cozy is a knitted or quilted cover used primarily by the British to keep a teapot hot. So she's actually thinking about Giles without knowing she's thinking about Giles. Buffy goes on to state that she just keeps getting trouble, which is something that she's more than willing to share, asking one last time what's happening to these kids. The woman admitting that she just gives him the names of the healthy ones. Buffy wondering to who. We get some cutscene transition magic again over to Ken, of course. Now we know he's fully the bad guy, as if we didn't already know, who has gotten Lily to dress in this fucking potato sack and has the audacity to tell her that she looks nice. He goes, you look good. She's like, what is this? He's like, well, you don't want to get your regular clothes dirty, do you? She's like, I'm about to get dirty. What you talking about? And then he over here acting like Kathy talking about some baptism. Like, we can put you in the birth of Christ real quick, but our water is not clear and nice looking. It's black and murky looking.
It looks like tar.
Disgusting. Lily feels that this is not a vibe, but he wouldn't want her clothes to get messy, like I said, for her cleansing. That's sort of like a baptism, as he says, I guess. Promising then after she can see Ricky, because he's very excited to see Lily. And I hate this motherfucker here. This is where I start like biting my tongue and I'm like gritting my teeth for him, because I'm like over here lying to this bitch, talking about, yeah, he's been talking up about you. He's got like some food in there for you and stuff. He's got pie. Like, he says y'all love pie. Like, you know, like all the things. And then we cut back over to Sunnydale, where Cordy walks with Oz, Willow, and Xander, complaining loudly so all the vampires can leave in the cemetery. Why the fuck does she have to be bait? They're all weaponed up and move into position. Cordy tagging along under Xander, who is shooing her off from his hiding spot because she's the bait.
Go act baity.
And she needs more clarification on the plan. Him stating the vampire attacks you. And she's like, well, then what? And he's like, he kills you and then we rejoice. Like, so fucking funny. Damn, he got jokes and she's not impressed by them. They start to argue and we see Willow hiding over in her spot and Andrew the vampire closing in behind her. And they're all like, he's already seen Willow. Like, he's not going to want her. But yet he over here going after Willow. Like, she wearing the same Slayer outfit that she had on at the beginning of the episode.
They left her unattended.
Like, she got her Slayer gear back on. I'm like, and she over there by herself. Where's Oz? Why didn't the two just cut? I don't know what the whole thing's going on, but like, you should have just all ran off from Cordelia and left her out there. We go back to the ceremony room of Ken's Help House. He's telling her to hop into this pit of black goo water on the floor, and this bitch calls it dirty looking, and he just laughs awkwardly. Like, it's so creepy. This whole episode, like I said, he's been giving me the ick, but it's an interesting concept that he's the villain and doing what he is doing to these kids. But it's also interesting as a demon running a whole other world. He's using the kids in his situation versus just anyone. I guess he wants an off the radar approach, as he says kind of later, but no one could prove that he did it. And like, it's very interesting that he came up with this whole scheme. Like, I mean, I don't know if he himself did it, but obviously this has been going on. He doesn't age because he's a demon, but he's picking and choosing the right people so he stays off the radar, which I thought was a very smart tactic, even though he's the bad guy, you know. But it kind of came full circle for me this time around, like just putting notes in there, and I was like, damn, it's kind of fucked up, because nobody could prove that he did it, even if like the people went missing, and obviously nobody's come knocking on his door except Buffy in 2 seconds. It's ingenious for the demon community to be doing some shit like this. We see a man at the door of the place, and an even more awkward Buffy, sucking at being undercover, tries to excuse why she's there.
I'm dirty. I'm bad with the sex and the envy and that loud music us kids listen to nowadays.
Realizing and calling herself out, she asks, where's Ken? And they go to close the door on her kicking it into the guy and walking in. So fucking funny when that door smacks him in the face. I was like, that's what y'all get. Y'all about to all get beat the fuck down. But I also love Buffy's whole thing here. She's like trying to talk about sex and sin and all this other shit. And she's like, oh, fuck. Like, I don't know why I didn't just like go in guns a-blazing like I typically would. I did find a note in my research too. The guy that answers the door is Jeff Pruitt, who's the stunt coordinator for the show. And obviously he has a non-speaking cameo here because he's just like looking at Buffy like numb whenever she's giving her like monologue or whatever the fuck you want to call that. And also he was the vampire in Ted that Buffy took her anger out on with the trash can lid while Giles is watching her fuck up the vampire. He was that vampire in the makeup that Buffy was kicking his ass. I was like, that's so funny. I didn't like get that note whenever we were doing Ted, or else I would have mentioned it back then. But I thought it was really fucking funny. I was like, poor Jeff Pruitt getting his ass kicked on this fucking show. But what a cool way to get a cameo in the show, like as a small little thing whenever you're doing all the behind the scenes stuff. Lily starts putting her hand into the dirty water when Buffy barges in, Ken asking her to leave this private moment, and Buffy going right in on his ass, questioning how he makes them old and what's going on. He smirks because she's about to find out when the ghoul pulls Lily in, the goo, pulls Lily in, Buffy running after her, Ken grabbing her, the two struggling, before Buffy slings the two into the portal of goo, because we find out it's a fucking portal. But they fall beneath it into an underground industrial space. Courtney's like, I'm gonna go there. It looks like a fun place to urbex. Buffy moving over to Lily as Ken gets up, grabbing at his face, peeling it off with his wig to show that he's an orange-faced, pissed off fucking demon.
Oh, my face! Do you have any idea how hard it is to glue that thing on?
Hollering at more demon guards to come as the girls run off. And I love it because this motherfucker, like, he glues that thing on because he's like, do you know how hard that is to glue on my face? How often do you have to put this on? Like, do you have to do this every day? And also, like, if you've been doing it forever, as you obviously have, shouldn't you eventually, you know, have the, I don't know, it's like putting on your makeup. You know how you're going to do it after you've done it 5 times. Now, the first time you started applying makeup on your face, maybe you weren't so great. But as you become better, eventually you're going to look like Kim K beating your face out, you know? Maybe not exactly, but you get what I mean. This is crazy. But I also like the reveal. I think he looks pretty gnarly, and I like wonder why they chose orange skin and the lacerations and markings all over the face for the demons.
I know.
But it does look very scary, I will say, because their eyes are red all of a sudden. Like, did he have contacts in too to make his eyes brown? I'm just unanswered questions that I need to know. I need to have a sit down with Ken and be like, can I see the prep video? Can you do an Instagram walkthrough of how you get ready in the morning like all these people do?
Tutorial.
Yes. Well, they make it to a ledge, peering down into a huge factory after running off from him. People are in the same garments as Lily, being whipped by guards to do forced labor by pools of like hot lava, crafting weapons and other items. Ken tells the girls, welcome to his world, and he hopes that they like it before clonking Buffy unconscious with a blunt weapon. Adding, because they are never leaving. One, this place looks really cool, but it's also sort of mirrored in the first Buffy video game, I noticed, because there's these big vats of lava in one of the areas that you can go in along one of the chapters of the game, and I think they took it from this episode when they created that game. This kind of shows us that the show has a lot more of a budget to be working with to create this whole set, because this is just a set. This isn't like some place that they just found. Like, they had to create all this. I want to know what was in those big vats, because obviously it wasn't volcanic lava and shit, but it was like some kind of hot stuff to burn up metal for them to do welding and all the other shit that's going on. But also, I do not want to work down here, because you know they do not have lunch breaks. Like that one guy talking about, all you will do is work. You will not be doing anything else. You're no one now.
It's like being at Urban.
Exactly. Basically working at Urban Nirvana. Here come Courtney with the jokes again. They're like, what's Urban Nirvana? It's the worst spot ever.
Google it, but don't go there.
Over at the graveyard again, we get another little cut to Xander and Cordy continuing to argue because he's hella mad at how she supposedly seemed to have forgot him and get over him during the summer break. And Cordy snarks back,
Oh, yeah, Mr. Faithful. Probably met up with some hot little Inca mummy girl. Yeah, I heard about her.
I love that callback. That's just so funny. Obviously, Willow's been telling Cordy about all these past stories before Cordy was like really in the mix and shit, and before she dated. She's like, by the way, did you know Xander's ex-girlfriend was a dead mummy that was like thousands of years old? She's like, I'm not surprised. And then they told her about Natalie French and all that, and she's like, oh, I had her class. I can't believe that she turned out to be a monster. They hear a thud, and then Willow scream out for help, running over to where she is with Oz trying to toss Andrew back off from attacking her, and he moves to stake him, but Andrew tosses him aside as well, grappling Xander next, who is struggling to force his stake at his chest. Cordy seeing him, and obviously she sees that he's in danger, and she's like, Xander, running over there to help him. I love this because now we're like getting to the point of the matter of what we're here for, and also the fact that you still care about Xander, even though 2 seconds ago y'all were arguing, but this is how it always works out. You had to have the build up, and I love it too because she just runs over to shove the vampire and knocks it over onto him, and that stake basically does what we saw reminiscent of Jesse in The Harvest, and we get the accidental 2K per slay as he fades to ash between the two of them. I like the sequence because the special effects here are done different. It's not just a vampire on the screen disappearing, it's in between two people, and then they have to fall onto each other, and obviously they fall into a passionate kiss, and then we get their signature love theme cueing in as the two do this passionate kiss. But it's a really cool effect for killing a vampire and getting Cordy and Xander technically back together. I'm going to call it a 4K per slay because they had to really put two people in the I don't know.
They really had to work with gravity on that one.
Back in the other world, Buffy is waking up with Lily in a prison cell, declaring that she knew she'd come here sooner or later. Buffy wondering where, and Lily stating hell. Buffy disagrees that this isn't hell, and then Ken comes up to the cell to be like, but it is. Also confirming to Lily this is where she's been heading all her life, 100% just like Ricky, who he confesses he does remember him actually, and how it took him a long time to forget her, and how he remembered the name Lily long after he forgot his own name, aka years. I felt like this is pretty fucked up because he's been fucking with Lily this whole time, like I said about Ricky. He's like, in there waiting for you, blah, blah, blah. Imagine that poor guy being stuck down there, and all he's wanting to do is get back to Lily. That's just really sad that he spent out his last years always like that. Just adds another layer on this. He's talking about he remembered your name after he forgot his own. Like he just kept talking about Lily down there. That's fucked up. That'd be like if I got sent to hell, I'd be like, where's Courtney? Telling them also how time moves faster down there, 100 years compared to one day on Earth. Work them till they're too old and spit them back out. That's the plan. That's why they chose them, because no one cares about these homeless nobodies. How long has this been going on? Like, thank God for Buffy coming in here and obviously putting a stop to it as we see, but I really want to know, has this been happening for like fucking decades? You know, like, is this like a Ted situation where the bodies have been piling up over the years? Like 100 years also passes in a fucking day. Can you imagine being down there for 24 hours and it's 100 years of your life? You've just been down there one day and you've been gone. The police haven't even like put in a search warrant like for you at all.
I know.
You know what I mean? Like at all.
Next time I hear a cop say something about, well, we gotta wait 48 hours, I'm like, you ain't ever seen that episode of Buffy?
we got precious time we're working with. We need an hour because they're gonna be. They went down there 25. Now they're 35.
1 minute equals 5 years. We gotta go.
Buffy confirms that he didn't choose her though, and he agrees.
I know you, Anne. So afraid, so pathetically determined to run away from whatever it is you used to be. To disappear. Congratulations. You got your wish.
We cut over to Buffy, Lily, and a group of other new arrivals forced into a room where they're explained by a scary-looking fucker that they are there to work, and that is all. No laughing, no complaining. I'm like, me and you are already out of there. They gonna kill us immediately. They ain't gonna let us work.
We're already laughing.
I know, right? I'd be like, Courtney, why is skin orange? You got a fake tanner on. You're looking like these fucking South Carolina bitches with that spray tan bullshit. Also, how whatever they thought, whoever they were, means nothing. They are no one now. Stepping up to one of the teens in this row to ask, who are you? And that boy is really blindsided because he's like, my name's Aaron. And he's like, nope, wrong answer. No, bam. Because that demon shoves that bat right into his fucking head. And I'm assuming that kills him because I think those things have spikes like what Buffy uses on Ken later. Like, I don't know what's happening, but that boy is out of there. He ain't working. Like, that was us. I'm talking about, I'm Courtney. I'm Brandon. We have a podcast. He can be like, fuck your podcast. Bam. He's like, my name's Juliet Landau. Takes off the mask and it's Juliet.
He's like, I lured you here so I could take your podcast name.
Well, since Drusilla's not around anymore, we got to get right into this, you know? Got to still remember the trauma that we're facing as Buffy remembers her trauma.
We're trauma bonding.
But that was the wrong answer. I love it because as soon as he gets hit with that weapon, Buffy's face grows stern to the situation. She's like, oh, fuck. What was Buffy going to do beforehand? Like, before all this? You know what I mean? She's down there. She's just like, well, I guess I got to work now. Like,
still calculating.
She's talking about, I make $1.59 an hour. What's happening?
Everything.
Which is interesting because Buffy,
I'll give you $1.59 to get out of here.
I'm gonna need to know how long this whole sequence took for Buffy to be down there before her and Lily got out. Was it 30 minutes? Because I mean, if it's been an hour, Buffy's at least a year older than what she was. She coming out of hell. I know, that's what I'm saying.
They must have not been down there for long because they look the same.
This all happened in 15 minutes. Buffy was in and out, you know.
That's why Buffy went home, because she's like, Mom, I've aged 5 years. I'm so much more mature now.
I'm dead. I need to hit the bowl. No, I don't. He moves next to Lily, asking who you are to her. And our girl Lily is very smart, declaring immediately. You hear her the way she goes, no one. Like, the other people he walks to follow suit really quick because they're like, he's like, who are you? And they're like, no one. Who are you? No one. Who are you? No one. I'm no one. I'm no one. Did you need to know I was no one? Because I ain't no one. I'm the one that is no. Did you know that I know that you know that I know that I am no one? That's what he said. And then he comes to our girl who has just been staring at the floor at the end of the row, asking her, who are you? As the intense music swells, she looks up to him with a smirk and proudly states, sarcastic yet serious to the demon,
I'm Buffy, the vampire slayer, and you are?
This fucking moment, the look up to him that Sarah Michelle Gellar gives him is iconic. It's got tood, sass, but it's also filled with power. And this is the moment where she reclaims her name. She's not Anne anymore. She's Buffy, because Buffy is the vampire slayer, even though Anne technically is too. And it's the first time that she speaks the name on the show in this specific phrase. She calls out the title of the show, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. It's her reminding herself who she is and letting them know they done fucked up. That demon goes to swing his weapon at Buffy, who blocks it, crushing his arm in half, taking his weapon and beating down the other demons in the room with it, who try to attack her, offering to the group of teens, anyone who's not having fun here, follow me. And they do, looking very excited. Buffy crushing it, quite literally, because, you know, his arm. But this whole moment, like, I know Ken starts to freak out later, and I could say this statement later, but these demons are probably like, fuck, we got a vampire slayer down here? Like, what the fuck? Like, you know, they know who she is. Not necessarily who Buffy is, but they know what a slayer is. They got to. Most demons and pools of, like, evil things probably do know. But, like, this is the day that they shorted their straw. Like, this is just the fucked up situation for them. This had to come to an end. It's like what they say, you put out negative energy, one day you're going to get negative energy back, and here it is in the form to slay as Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So... Under a staircase, we find Buffy with Lily, instructing her to get those people out of there whenever she distracts the enemies. Lily, scared and nervous, is convinced that she can't handle this, but Buffy affirms that she can do this. They go to split up, but not before Lily has to apologize to her for saying it was all Buffy's fault before, you know, in case they die. Love that little interaction. She's like, Lily, this isn't the time. She's like, well, what if we die? Like, I gotta say this. She's like, I didn't tell you the last time that I was thankful for your help, and now this time I might not literally get the next time. So here it is. Buffy runs off through the space being chased by the demons, and here starts the coolest fight sequence and payoff for the start of the season. She comes to a pole and does that awesome stripper slayer spin, is what I'm gonna call it, and kicks that one that's been following her. He's like, oh shit, I didn't expect that, and takes on the others, hopping up onto that platform, stealing his hammer weapon and whooping his ass. Lily starts to get the people upstairs because she's like, okay, she's got them fully distracted now. Multiple demons keep appearing, like they come out of nowhere. I want to know how many demons is in this place because Buffy's out here killing them all, and she's whooping ass. Ken starts watching from above, obviously shocked and displeased because they aren't supposed to fight back. And like I was just prefacing, that whole sequence is amazing. We aren't living in the days of season 1 and early 2's fighting. Like, now we got this cool ass sequence, never seen this before, and this is like them coming on to her. Like, she's like, okay, well, I'm Buffy, so I guess I'm back. Now we gotta have this big theatrics like moment. So it's great. But it's cleaner and more realistic fighting than we've seen ever, and pretty much from here on out. So you can expect more sequences like this along the course of the show. Spoiler, but not really. It's a little breadcrumb for you. Our first breadcrumb of season 3. Another demon attacks Buffy with a blade, which she quickly gets from him in that awesome shot of her catching it from the air above. She like kicks it out of his hand and then she like catches it in one motion, discarding the demon off that platform and giving us her signature shot with the spotlights passing all around her in an amazing panned shot, reminding us
she's an icon, she's a legend, and she is the moment.
That's what I said the last time whenever we had the harvest moment when those vampires dipped the fuck out. They were like, I don't like blue cool tone light. I did have a fun fact for anybody that is interested, aka everyone listening. And if you don't already know, you're going to know now. This weapon is technically called a hungamunga. That's what they called it on the show. They did a little bit of research and technically it was called that. But there's a special feature on the DVD commentary for the episode. If anybody has season 3 DVDs or want to go look it up on YouTube, find a little thing where Joss is talking about this weapon and how they designed it because they fashioned it themselves to have it on the show. But the History Channel had an episode on technically like South African history. And the actual weapon is technically called a bambwa, B-W-A-M-B-W-A, bambwa. It's fun to say, rolls off the tongue, which actually was a weapon formidable in hand-to-hand combat that was also particularly devastating as a throwing knife, which we see displayed very accurately here because, you know, Buffy in a couple of seconds throws it across the room and it spins and sails into that guy. In the commentary, they also talk about how they put it on a wheel on like lines and actually spun it so they could get that shot right in front of the camera and then like just synced it up with hitting the guy. And apparently they call it devastating in that way because whenever that like rounded edge went into someone's body, it basically seals itself off. So obviously if we keep a knife in you, it's not gonna like whatever. If you pull a knife out, you're only gonna have a little bit of blood. That thing comes out, you're pulling stuff out with it because of the way it's pointed and shit. So that's why they call it a devastating weapon, and they actually fought with it. The tribe that used this was known as the 𝐿mauḍ tribe, and their throwing knives took an expert blacksmith several days to produce and were expensive as fuck. While they could be effectively thrown as weapons, their value made such an impact and practical. Its owner hurled it only as a last resort or when he esteemed to have a fair chance of recovering it. So if they could go back and get it, they would throw it. But otherwise, they use it as like a fight because it's got 3 points. It's got the curved blade, it's got the point on the back of it, and obviously the piece with the handle that you could use as like a jab situation. So it's like a weapon rounded up into 3 different tools, like a scythe kind of thing. And I like because it ties it all together, because the actual weapon itself, its primary role was an emblem that stood for power, wealth, and prestige. Usually the people that had it in the tribes were like the higher up people. So it's very interesting. It ties in with Buffy because that's what we see Buffy as. Her strength and skill as a slayer, and what she reclaims as this episode is power. Anyways, Buffy concludes taking out guards who keep coming in waves and slowly starts to overcome her as Lily is grabbed by Ken as she's trying to usher the teens out. Ken yells out at Buffy, who's began to run off, showing he has a blade to Lily's throat, ceasing the fighting, shoving Lily to the side of him and standing on the ledge of that high platform from earlier to tell Buffy down below that that was extremely uncalled for. Buffy smarting back, being held by demons. I like it. She's like, yeah, but it was fun. I'm like, we got our Buffy back for sure. Ken retorting, she's got guts, one that he's like to slice open from her and play with, going on a tangent to tell everyone in the room that this will all be a lesson to them about what happens when, cut short by his sentence, when Lily gently pushes him off the ledge from behind him. He falls and we hear a splat on the ground as Buffy looks down at him, Lily looking stunned at herself, surprised at what she's just done. I think this is a really interesting moment for her. Like, obviously this is great critical thinking on her point, like her awareness to be like, oh, I should be opportunistic right now. He's yapping. Once again, we realize people should not be yapping while they should be taking care of business. And she has this moment while he's distracted to push his ass off. I mean, obviously we know he doesn't die because in 2 seconds from now, but we would assume he did. But I was like, good on you, Lily, for stepping up. And like this, I think is the first step for her where Lily is like, oh wait, I can actually do something. I can make a difference. So it's her channeling some of the later vibes we'll see. Buffy frees herself from the demons with punches, climbing up the chain to Lily, moving to a metal drop gate where the teens are waiting. Buffy using her strength to lift the heavy gate as they crawl under, and it's a nice workout for the glutes and the abs. They all make it underneath the gate, and when she goes to cross, she's shoved forward by a bloodied Ken, who, unfortunately for him, the gate falls down and its points pierce through each of his gastrocnemiuses, aka his calves, pinning him there unable to move. That is brutal. The fact I want to know how they did this shot because that's so cool looking. Like, and he's wiggling his legs. Why would you move? Like, you're just tearing fucking meat at that point. Like, why are you kicking and flailing? Like, I would probably be doing that too. I mean, your initial reaction is like, oh fuck, I'm pinned. But as soon as I felt that go through my legs and I looked back at that, I'd be like, I ain't moving. This is fucking. He ain't walking no more. At least for a few weeks. Like. The guy himself fucked up. But that's what he get for attacking this bitch. The teens start helping each other up through the portal as Buffy picks up Ken's weapon off the ground and walks over to him, and he's declaring that she's ruined everything. Then she asks if he wants to see her impression of Gandhi before embedding the weapon in his head, killing him. I think it's interesting too because a little handful of people get out, but there were still workers down there working. So she didn't get every single teen out, even though the portal seals up and that technically is ruined. Now it won't be opened up because maybe Ken was the one that was above ground helping to keep it open and stuff. And now it's sealed off, as we'll see in a minute. But I just thought that was very interesting. I was like, some people definitely got left down there. So like, are they going to just get killed down there? Are they going to, like, what happens to them?
They're about to die anyway by tomorrow.
Exactly. But that's just a question I've always been left with. I was like, she didn't get everybody out, but she saved a handful of people that were with her. So I guess that was enough.
Yeah. Maybe the other ones were too far gone already.
I don't know. It's up for a Courtney conspiracy for me. And I guess that's it. Up and above, everyone makes it out and back into their reality of Los Angeles once again as the portal seals itself into stone. Our next shot, we found Lily and Buffy in her apartment during the day where Lily is in nicer clothes, finally, and Buffy giving her a quickly concluded tour. She walks from one room to the other, and she's like, that concludes our tour. And I remember you laughing at that point, and I was like, that is funny. Having decided to leave this place to Lily to live rent-free for a few weeks, and also letting Lily know that she has talked to the diner, and they're going to let her take over for Buffy later that week. Giving her diner outfit to Lily, which she sets on the bed before them. Lily takes a seat beside. Buffy tells her that she will call her to check up on her. Lily is hesitant and admits to Buffy that she's not very good at taking care of herself. Buffy consoles her and encourages her in the fact that it does get easier, but it takes practice. Lily nods in agreement, knowing that this is the best for her, looking down to the apron and noticing the name tag. touching it as she asks Buffy with a smile.
Hey. Can I be Anne?
Such a sweet moment, and Buffy just smiles back at her. Fucking love this, but obviously I have to delve into it because I'm crazy. So I'm going to call this little paragraph, Can I Be Anne? Because it's so sweet. Like, it's one of the subtler but really meaningful touches in Anne. Obviously, with the return of Julia Lee as Lily, a character we first met back as Chanterelle, that lost goth girl chasing the idea of vampires as salvation. Now in Anne, she's drifted into yet another identity, living on the streets, still looking for somewhere to belong. Even though there isn't a direct quote from Joss or Julia specifically, because I looked, about bringing her back, you can feel the intention behind it. Whedon has always said that Buffy is a show about identity and how people shape who they are through the choices that they make, and Lily shows us a version of what Buffy could become if she truly just gave up, aka hit rock bottom, very lost, invisible, defined by others instead of herself. In a way, Lily is Buffy's reflection in this episode. While Buffy tries to hide from being the Slayer, Lily drifts through different names and lives to escape her own pain. When Buffy steps up to fight for the runaway kids, she gives Lily something that she's never really had, which is a moment of bravery to reclaim her own name and stand up for herself. By the end, Lily is inspired to take on Buffy's discarded alias and start fresh with a stronger sense of self. It's a small yet powerful sign of how Buffy's strength ripples out into the ordinary people that she meets. Buffy just really inspires people. And I love this personally because that's exactly what Lily wants. She admires Buffy, who's now saved her life twice, and sees her as a strong woman. Taking on Buffy's name is her way to feel that same sense of empowerment and start fresh because she wants to be like her. So Lily isn't just a side character. She's quite literally a mirror and a reminder that courage to own who you are can change the reality of your life. Something that I found so meaningful in this episode. And that's why I always cry at the end of Anne. Something so sentimental in the Can I Be Anne is just, it hits because she's like finally found maybe someone that she can be and someone that's actually going to have a place in the world. And she'll be stronger because of it, because she knows Buffy is stronger. So I'm going to leave it at that. We fade over to the Summers residence as Joyce fumbles with the dishwasher, a knock at the door being heard, Joyce getting up to move towards it, wiping her hands with the dish towel. Something makes her pause in the dining room, some sort of instinct, before slowly walking over to it, letting herself feel hope again, opening the door to find Buffy standing there before her. She breathes a sigh of relief, and the two embrace in a deep hug. Buffy smiles, swallowed in comfort, as we fade to black, and here endeth the episode. So cute.
Buffy's home.
Buffy is home. They do such a good job at setting up this emotional tone from scene to scene too. Like I said, I can't help but cry for the end, her moment with Anne. I'm going to call her Anne now because she's not Lily anymore. And then also you get the impact of Buffy coming home. And that final moment when she walks back through her front door and into Joyce's arms is simple, but it says a lot, even without saying anything because they just hug. But after trying so hard to run from the pain and her identity, Buffy chooses to come home and face everything that she's left behind. And it's a quiet act of courage that she's not just the Slayer again. She's Buffy Summers again, a daughter who needs her mom and real life back. So it was time for her to come home. And for Joyce, it's honestly going to be a second chance too to understand her daughter a little bit better and to hold on to her instead of push her away this time around.
Yeah, agreed. Hopefully, anyway.
What was your joke that you were going to say?
Oh, whenever Joyce was in the kitchen and she was like fumbling around under the sink and the doorbell rang or whatever. Was it a doorbell or did she just knock? I can't remember now. Whatever happened. Okay, well, you could tell that she like you said, like she didn't want to get her hopes up kind of situation. But I was like, it'd be so funny if standing there like the whole time, even approaching the door, like she's totally convinced it's Buffy because it's like this younger blonde, and then she opens the door and it's Darla.
She's like, do you want something big or something small? You know, she asked that to Buffy. She's like, are you hungry? Did you want something big or small?
Literally.
All right. For metaphor for the episode, Anne kicks off season 3 by showing what happens when Buffy tries to stop being the Slayer and just be no one. Taking the name Anne is a way of her erasing herself. She wants to leave the pain, the guilt, and her entire identity behind. Working a boring job and living under the radar let her hide among kids who feel just as lost and invisible, but deep down she can't turn off who she is, someone who steps in and fights for people when no one else will. That hell dimension in this episode is more than just a monster slayer. It represents how easy it is for the world to chew up people people who slip through the cracks. Time moves differently there. The kids work until they're used up and forgotten. It mirrors how these runaways are ignored above ground too, and it reflects Buffy's fear that she's lost herself and purpose. The demon's repeated question of "Who are you?" is the heart of Buffy's struggle. When she finally answers, "I'm Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and you are," she reclaims her identity, and this moment is her rebirth. After losing herself in shame and guilt over killing Angel, Buffy reclaims her strength, purpose, and self-worth, and she stops running and accepts that this is who she is, and she's not powerless. Meanwhile, back in Sunnydale, the Scoobies struggle to patrol the Hellmouth shows how irreplaceable that she really is. They try to shoulder her burden, but it's clear that being the Slayer isn't just a job, it's a calling only Buffy can carry. Mark Fields also points out that Buffy sends herself to hell for her sin of killing Angel, and not the hell dimension that we see later, but Buffy's in hell from the moment we see her. She's living in hell, even if it looks like Los Angeles. This becomes apparent with the fact that she works at a diner that's quite obviously called Helen's Kitchen. I don't know if you caught that, like, because when she's walking out of the diner later or by it, you can see Helen's Kitchen, and it's a play on Hell's Kitchen. Like, we see hell in the episode, wow. So it's really interesting. And when she has the interactions with Ken initially, he equates that despair is hell. What is hell but the total absence of hope, the substance, the tactile proof of despair? When actually trapped in hell, her potential allies have already given up in the face of all this, and she retains her freedom to choose. She has to find her way out of it, reclaiming her chosen goal and her authentic self again, inspiring Lily to do the same. And that's basically it for metaphor. And I didn't choose to go into it too much. I know we talked about earlier about how like the system chews up kids and like spits them out, basically people as the same. But it's also like it thematically works to show that like in real life, there are homeless people and people turn a blind eye to them all the time, whether they're youthful kids or grown up people that just don't have jobs. And I mean, I'm the same way. When I walk downtown and I see homeless people, I don't always give them money. I mean, I've definitely handed a couple of dollars to people before, like done stuff to be like nice if I felt the vibe was right. But if they're over there looking slumped with their fentanyl lean going on, I ain't fucking with you, because you can go try to get a job at Burger King or work yourself up, because there's a reason. And this episode proves it, that you can come back from rock bottom. You know what I mean? The only rock they're looking for is the crystal, you know, but like they're looking under rocks for some cracks. But, you know, all jokes aside, that's basically what this episode is also kind of mirroring, that how people just get forgotten totally because you want to turn a blind eye to it. Like most people don't offer help. And that's what we love about this show, is the fact that Buffy is always going to offer help to people. So it's a nice little subtext to get into. I just didn't want to. We got to get out here and smoke. You want some Buffy fun facts?
Yes.
I got some good ones. Not really, but kind of. At one point in the battle with Ken's henchmen, Buffy wields both a hammer and a sickle. The factory setting, hard labor, and the hammer and sickle not only shows a theme of communism, but more importantly, the unification between peasants and workers to reach a better goal, seen here when everyone unites to defeat Ken's men. Anne had an audience of 4.7 million households upon its original airing. It's in that top list of stuff that I've said a long time ago, like back with Surprise and Innocence and those other episodes that have been big. This was like one of the ones that just like went through the roof. Everybody was waiting for Buffy to come back and want to know what the fuck happened after obviously season 2. During this episode, Lily wears a white t-shirt underneath a green sweater. The visible part of the t-shirt says Dent and has a red heart with words home of visible inside the heart. This is most likely a nod to the cult classic Rocky Horror Picture Show, in which a billboard is visible in the graveyard. On the billboard, there's a large red heart with the word Denton above it and the phrase "the home of happiness" inside of it. Something I didn't know, but I saw it on the Buffy Wikipedia, so I was like, all right, I'm gonna put it in here. A poster for the band Fish is seen on the wall behind Xander and Willow in the bronze. Funny enough, Fish was just in Charleston last weekend and people were going to that concert, so I kind of find that funny now that we're talking about
Meredith
this.
went to that concert.
Did she?
Yes.
Damn, she all left you at home?
She went with her friend Neil. It was like part of their birthday situation.
Oh, I love it. Well, all right, here we are. Full circle moment. Everything's connected. It's the universe. It's the universe. And then Buffy describes her killing Ken as her impression of Gandhi, referring to the Indian lawyer who employed nonviolent resistance to lead the successful campaign for India's independence from British rule. I have a few goofs from the episode too. Ricky's form at the blood bank includes a waiver clause for the blood bank of Sunnydale. It also gives his name as Ricky with a Y, and his name is spelled with an I-E, but also we're not in Sunnydale, we're in Los Angeles, so why does the paper say that? When Buffy bursts in on Lily and Ken in the cleansing room, Lily is wearing red lipstick and black eyeliner. Later, when Buffy and Lily stumble upon the factory workers, Lily's no longer wearing lipstick or eyeliner. And then in the cell, when she's hanging out by that dead skeleton, she's again wearing the lipstick and eyeliners. It's just interesting how people pick this shit out. During the battle with Ken's henchmen, one of the extras is thrown off to the side, and overhead shot shows him landing on a visible gymnastics mat. I've never caught it, but apparently if you really watch the episode, you can see him falling onto the mat, and like they forgot to clip that out. After Buffy says, anyone who's not having fun here, follow me, you can see that the purple camisole has briefly turned green. The outfit that she's wearing is not the same color. So I'm like, why is she wearing a different top? Why did they put a different top on her? Was the other one at the wash? Like, did they not have extras? What's going on? And while escaping the hell dimension, Buffy's shoes change from flat burlap shoes like Keds into tennis shoes like Nikes along the scene. Because you can see that she's wearing different shoes. And then when she pulls herself on the chain and her feet grab the like ledge to pull herself up to Lily, she literally has on fucking sneakers. And like, bitch, you were not wearing those. So what's happening? And that's all for Buffy fun facts and our goofs. Now we can move into our final slays for season 3, episode Anne.
Final slays.
And like I said, final slays, episode Anne. What quotes you got from this episode?
Well, I figured I would start with the best one of the entire show, which is, I'm no one.
I thought you were going to say I'm Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
No, obviously that is a very epic quote and also kind of falls under the category of that Slade moment. So it's like a hand-in-hand kind of situation for that episode. But I also love the opening scene where Willow's like, that's right, big boy, come and get it. And so I wrote that down as one of my quotes to highlight because obviously that was just like so perfect to open with, but also very on brand for Willow. So
yeah,
I'm always good for Willow. What about you?
I gotta shout out Buffy's careless breaking into your office and going through your private files. It's just so funny because she does not give no fucks right there. I love it because then obviously it's followed by the fucking phone getting ripped off the wall. I had Willow where she's like, well, we try not to get killed. That's part of our whole mission statement. Don't get killed. I had Larry when he's hyping up the new school year and the tail end of his statement ends with, if we could focus, keep disciplined, and not have quite as many mysterious deaths, Sunnydale's gonna rule. I love how they threw that in there. And then my final one is just simply, can I be Anne? Because it always hits for me. And I love Lily. So, well, Anne. Shining Slayer, you go first.
Well, you know, obviously, I kind of gave mine to Lily. Just because she really came through, and like you said, it was unanticipated for her character for the entire rest of the episode. So for her to just come through at the very end and push this homie off that big tall platform, like, and you can tell it wasn't a premeditated move. She just was like, "Oh, here's my window, my golden window of
critical thinking."
Yeah, and so that really just pushed her to the top of the list as far as the Shining Slayer goes, because she really didn't, like you said, she was super reserved and like kind of in her little shell and more shy, and like the last one out of the whole episode I would have thought to like basically assist in saving the day. So
absolutely
give it to Lily. What about you?
Well, I gave it as a wombo combo to Buffy and Lily. For the same reasons. Buffy is just always going to be the first choice because she literally slaved the day and saved the day. She slaved the day. Get it? Slaved because they were slaves in the underground. Fun pun I just came up with. I'm really on my shit. This season's going to be great. But Buffy and Lily just have to take the cake as a duo because they work together basically the whole episode to do it. And then, you know, Shining Slayer mostly goes to Lily. I like that you chose her. I'm going to put her technically before Buffy just because she claims her power in this episode too. We have higher hopes for Anne at the end of this episode. That she's going to be doing better. So until later. What gave you the weekly wigs?
First was Anne, in quotations, aka Buffy, eating the damn SpaghettiOs out of the can.
Yes.
Second is the nurse lady. She was giving me the weekly wigs.
That's fair.
And then the last thing
is
the last thing is the tar bath.
Oh, true. That one is pretty much the most skeezy out of the whole episode.
Wait, you only got one?
I do only have one.
Oh, what is it?
It's weekly wigs, not weekly wiggins. No, I'm just kidding. Let me stop. Well, I guess it does have an S at the end. It's not the weekly wig.
Exactly.
And it's simply that dead skeleton that Lily's just chilling by side whenever they're in prison in that cell. Because he's just all crumpled up and dead looking like, wait till you see our thumbnail for the episode. It's hilarious because it's that shot.
My fourth one is that Drano.
My fourth one, I know another one. What's your fifth and sixth one? Come on. So weekly wigs. This is the episode with the most wigs.
Is the fifth one.
There you go. Yeah, Ken was giving me the wigs too, but that skeleton, just the way she's like literally, that thing is laying in that bed, like propped up, and she's like nestled beside it. That's why it gave me the wigs. I was like, why do you look like this? That's Ricky. She's like, this is Ricky.
No, that's
She's
like on
this is
Yellow
Ricky
Jackets
now.
when that bitch thinks she's hanging out with Jackie in the back.
Oh shit, not Jackie. Exactly though.
Dead ass Jackie.
It's the new Xana. That's Ampada actually. Ampada was featured in this episode.
Oh,
and you said your Slade moment was the I'm Buffy the Vampire Slayer thing, right?
It was a tie between that and when she goes ripping that damn whole entire phone off the wall.
Exactly. That Slade moment for me, the first one I put down as a more of a jokey one, was Buffy ripping the phone off the wall effortlessly and clearly making a point. But the more serious take is when Buffy takes on all those demons on the platform and just whoops all their asses. Like, we love seeing our Slayer fight and do her fucking duty. That's just cool as fuck. And I just know that then people were very upset. That's why Ken was up there freaking out. He's like, why is this happening right now? Like, they don't fight back. Why is she fighting back? Like, what is happening? This is chaos. This never has happened before. Anybody else fight back too, they dead in an instant. Like, you know, the homeboy that, Aaron? Aaron? Bam! I should put the thwarp sound of the fucking thing smashing him after that.
Aaron?
All right, Slayerette predictions. Our next episode, episode 2, is entitled Dead Man's Party.
Ooh. Well, either Spike, Angel, Drusilla. I'm just kidding. I was going to say these are about to be the guests of honor for the party. Dead man's party. Well, I don't know. Really, all that comes to mind is that there's going to be a bunch of vampires maybe in a party.
Okay, sure, maybe. Maybe it's a vampire. We'll stake it and see. Just remember that. That'll be funny. It'll be a whole moment for you. All right, you guys. Well, thanks for tuning into this episode. What do you guys think of this one? Do you love how Buffy reclaims her power and steps back into the fight? What did you think about the mirroring of Lily with Buffy? And how did that moment hit you when Buffy returns home to Joy's? Plus, just overall thoughts of Anne. What do we think of season 3? Like, what do we got going on? What are you guys excited for? Let me know what you're excited for us to get to so I can talk about it when we get there. All the things. We want to hear your thoughts. Slide into our DMs on Instagram or send me an email with your favorite moments, your take on the continuation of Buffy's journey, or any questions you want us to cover in upcoming episodes. That's it for this episode of Revamped. Thank you so much for listening, and we will talk to you next week back here in Sunnydale.
Anne, can I talk to you? Look, this really isn't a good time. Can wait. Ricky's gone. I haven't seen him for more than a day. He's never left for that long. I think something's happened. Maybe something's happened. Did you call the police? Ricky skipped out on his parole. They would just cause more trouble. I don't know. Did you ask around? Can you help me? I can't. But that's who you are and stuff, right? I mean, you help people and, you know... I can't get into this. I'm sorry, Lily. You know how to do stuff. I don't. Not anymore. But I don't know what to do.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Buffy on Revamped. Remember to join us next week for a new episode release as we continue our journey through Sunnydale. We also would like to hear from you, so share your thoughts. Discuss with us your perspectives on this or previous week's episodes by following us on Instagram and sending us a DM at revamped_rewatchpodcast.
Or by emailing us at revampedrewatchpod@gmail.com. Additionally, we will be choosing one of your messages to shout out in an upcoming episode release. And if you happen to love abandoned places but prefer them vampire-free, check out Echoes of Elsewhere, an urban exploration podcast, where I interview urban explorers about the eerie spaces they uncover, anything from haunted schools, forgotten mansions, and tunnels that probably don't lead to the Hellmouth. From history to mysteries, tips and tricks of the trade, I dive into all things Urbex. Subscribe and listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Until next time, The Earth is definitely doomed. This podcast is dedicated to the Buffyverse, to its fans, and my sister, Tiffany Dawn Pearson.